Hello, dear. I'm glad we're meeting again. Before we dive into the topic, I ask you to set aside all your tasks for a minute. Take a soft, deep breath in and out. Do you feel your heart beating? It is exactly what brought you to this lesson. In this video, I want to share an important revelation that helped me on my path. I wish for your path to be easy, for you to always hear your heart and feel inner freedom. Today we will look at one of the most common and yet least recognized human weaknesses, passivity. Passivity is a barrier to inner freedom, and activity is the key to awakening your potential. And I know what I'm talking about. I was a student who lived by the principle of, somehow it will work out on its own. I did the minimum in my studies, my dreams were somewhere in the clouds, and reality was waiting for someone or something to give me what I wanted. I looked at successful people and thought, they just got lucky. And my family, my girlfriend, saw in me not a support, but just a nice guy with unclear prospects. The turning point came when I realized there was nothing to wait for. I applied the school's knowledge, read the $1 Million Deal chapter, and started acting on those principles. Now I have a successful business, I'm the pillar of my family, and I'm valued in my team. It all started with one decision: to stop waiting. If you want to see how real deeds are born through similar internal struggles, I highly recommend watching the $1 Million Deal series. It shows the essence without any sugarcoating or fairy tales. How an idea in the mind of one person who overcame internal passivity turns into a business that changes everything around them. Overcoming passivity isn't about getting rich. It's about gaining control over your own life. It's about self-respect that everyone around you can feel. It's about the morning when you wake up and know that the day depends on you. Close your eyes, take a breath, and ask yourself, who will I become if I stop waiting and start taking action? The answer to this question is the first step out of passivity toward the inner freedom and strength we'll talk about today.
We will consider passivity as a condition similar to an illness. It has causes, mechanisms of development, symptoms, consequences, and methods of recovery. Passivity is a syndrome of deficient volitional activity, a condition that slowly but inevitably destroys a personality like a sluggish disease. Diagnostics. How to recognize the disease. How does this syndrome manifest in the life of an ordinary person? Here are typical symptoms. Avoidance of responsibility. Someone else will decide for me. It will sort itself out somehow. Chronic procrastination. Important tasks are constantly postponed until tomorrow, which never comes. Substitution of active rest with passive consumption. At night, shows during the day, sleep. The cycle repeats. Justifying inner dialogue. Viral phrases. I need this for recovery. I already do a lot. I'm fine as I am in my comfort zone. Loss of inner fire. Curiosity, excitement, and the desire to change anything disappear. A person captured by passivity is convinced that everything is fine with them, and that is the main danger. The syndrome lulls vigilance. Prognosis. Why is passivity dangerous? As with any chronic illness, the consequences accumulate gradually. Health and energy. A body deprived of load atrophies. Without movement, muscles weaken, tone drops, and metabolism deteriorates. Personality and thinking. Mental degradation begins. No new impressions, no new neural connections. You get stuck in patterned thinking. Finances and career. A passive employee ceases to be noticed and is eventually replaced. No development, no income growth. Relationships. To preserve love and respect, daily conscious efforts are needed. Without them, relationships break down, leading to quarrels, conflicts, indifference, and breakups. Self-respect, the most severe consequence. You stop trusting yourself. You make promises and don't keep them. The circle closes. Passivity breeds self-disrespect, from which apathy and depressive states arise. Passivity is not just lying on the couch. It is a systemic failure on several levels at once: physical, emotional, and intellectual. We will examine this in more detail. Diagnostics. In which of the three centers has passivity blocked your strength? Overcoming physical passivity. Imagine your first run after a long break. Every step takes effort. Your breathing falters, your muscles protest. This is your instinctive center resisting. An ancient biological program. For decades, it learned to conserve energy and asks, why waste resources on something that isn't vital? If muscles don't receive regular signals to work, the instinctive center concludes, these muscles are not needed, and a quiet process of decay begins. Muscles weaken, joints lose mobility, metabolism slows down. The most vivid example is astronauts. In weightlessness, the body doesn't fight gravity, and the organism receives a signal. The musculoskeletal system is not in use. Rapid atrophy of muscles and bone tissue begins. Without constant training, a person risks becoming disabled. This is not a theory, it's the reality of space medicine. When you, despite inner resistance, decide to move, you literally cancel the command for self-destruction. Overcoming emotional passivity. Imagine, since childhood you were taught, don't cry, don't shout, don't laugh too loud, be quiet and obedient. Any strong feeling was suppressed, so a habit formed. Emotions are dangerous, it's better to hide them. Years passed, the habit became character. You grew up, but inside, the same block remained. Joy is dulled, anger is swallowed, desires are silent. You sit on the couch, scrolling through your phone, even though you could be dancing, going to a class, and feeling alive. Remember the main thing. Emotions are your superpower. When you allow yourself to feel truly, you become a magnet for love, success, and happiness. You deserve to feel everything: delight, rage, tenderness, passion, laughter to tears. This is your nature. What can you do right now? Say out loud, I have the right to feel and express whatever I want. How to heal from emotional passivity. We will talk about that further. These won't be just tips, but real keys to your feminine power. Overcoming intellectual passivity. You know this state. You open a book and the words blur. You try to concentrate. Your thoughts scatter. Your memory seems full of holes. This is not just fatigue. This is intellectual passivity, when your powerful mind goes into sleep mode. Modern research shows a lack of new tasks and learning accelerates aging processes. A brain deprived of stimulation sends the body a signal of decline. A passive mind seems to say, nowhere to grow. Symptoms of stagnation. Fog in the head. Procrastination. Loss of interest in new things. Feeling that the world is too complicated. Poor memory, intellectual passivity ultimately leads to a person becoming extremely poorly adapted to change. As a result, cannot change reactions and behavior, cannot cope with new situations, cannot see a way out even from solvable problems, lose flexibility in communication, stop coming up with anything new, risk gradually falling out of social connections and being left alone. The longer such passivity lasts, the stronger and more irreversible the trap of old patterns becomes.
Anna's journey began with pain. Years of suffering in her back had become her familiar reality. Doctors and pills couldn't quell this pain. She lost her beloved job as a tour guide and could no longer travel. Anna could barely walk and had even forgotten what walks in the fresh air were like. Everything changed after the first event at the spiritual school. She realized life could be bright. After the event, Anna chose a healthy lifestyle. Running, yoga, morning practices, and nature. She started inviting her girlfriends, and gradually a group formed. The classes were held regularly, every week. Within just a few weeks, Anna noticed the pain had disappeared, energy appeared, and people were drawn to her. Participants left the classes feeling fulfilled and invited their friends. Word of the practices quickly spread through the city, and instead of 3 people, 30 to 40 began to attend. Anna's life resembled a dream. Spiritual practices, walks, inspiring women to change. At least once a month, she traveled to places of power. But one day, Anna decided everything was already settled and didn't call the participants. Assuming they would come on their own, the first signs of passivity appeared. That evening, instead of 35 people, 15 came. The justified rest became a habit. Calls were postponed, shows took up more and more time. As a result, the group shrank from 40 active participants to 10 in a month. Mentors called her and tried to inspire her, tried to help. But in response, they heard, "I already do a lot, but nobody appreciates it." Soon, the hall was empty. The classes stopped. There wasn't even enough money for rent. Connections were destroyed, and the back pain returned, even stronger. Passivity had completely taken over, and Anna's life changed. Instead of traveling to places of power and inspiring women, regular visits to hospitals, and long sessions of watching shows with French fries. The result, obesity. In 1 month, Anna gained 25 kilograms, couldn't look at herself in the mirror, and refused to go outside, so none of her acquaintances would see what she had come to. Anna sank into deep depression.
I'll tell you what I do myself, how I managed to overcome this spirit. It might be hard for you to believe looking at me, but I used to be extremely passive, did nothing. I would never have become wealthy, never opened my business. I loved to sleep in, and at the slightest difficulty, I would give up. If my mentor hadn't revealed a secret knowledge to me, I would have remained a life's failure. Where did I start? Yes, of course, it's physical activity, more sports. But oddly enough, that's not the main thing. The main thing is changing your mindset. It's not hard to force yourself to run in the morning, but changing your thoughts is much harder. So start doing the business routine and repeat these powerful thoughts throughout the day. I am doing something important today. I am active and I am driven. I choose what gives me energy. I deserve a bright, active life. Also, a great example for me is Alice. In her situation, most people would simply surrender to the clutches of evil spirits. After the accident, she didn't give up. She wanted so badly to get back on her feet. She didn't just wait for healing to help her. She constantly listened to divine chants, did spiritual practices. She couldn't move physically, yet she filled her intellectual and emotional centers with the right attitudes and states, which practices helped her not to succumb to the spirit of passivity and apathy. Self-Sufficiency Complex, Heaven and Earth Kata of Rage. I've always seen my life as God's gym. Watch this video about it, so we're on the same wavelength. I always start my morning with an active warm-up or a good hour-long run in nature. After awakening the physical body, it is much easier and simpler to live through the day. Therefore, I recommend you do the Kunoichi warm-up every day. Activity is the only way to keep your life system in good shape. Recite these power affirmations and track your progress in 7 days. And if you want to help not only yourself, but also those consumed by the spirit of passivity, you must seek help from the guides of power. Since the spirit of passivity seeps into every area of life, and in 90% of cases it's hard to cope alone, that's why you need the guidance of power. Shamanism teaches us that we need to unite together to remove the influence of dark spirits. If you see signs of passivity in your surroundings, inform the mentor of the spiritual school. Every day is a step toward the version of you that shines, feels, and creates your life. You've got this. See you in the next lesson.
In our extreme times, when the fate of the entire planet is at stake, it is crucial for the knowledge of angels and benevolent spirits to spread as quickly as possible, globally, and reach thousands of people. In this way, we can change the future of all humanity. Which is why we are addressing you, dear soul of light. Spread the knowledge about our wise books and films. Share links to videos or cartoons. All of this is available and free. Invite women to individual practices, webinars, and seminars. And the Great Spirit of Light will help you and your family. It will direct an enormous amount of energy to fulfill all your desires. Benevolent spirits and angels will assist you and your loved ones in all matters. A thread of light and love extends from your heart to the hearts of thirsty women, and the creation of good and the dissemination of enlightened knowledge throughout the world begins. Become part of the mission of light, help people, and God will help you.